one thing that I really wanted to talk about before we finished the episode tonight, which has to do with our friend and comrade Anna Kasparian, obviously of the Young Turks, but also the co-host of Jacobin's weekend show with Nando Vila. Before that, originally the co-host of the weekend show with the late Michael Brooks, who she credits with having really brought her around to socialist politics after having come from a much more normie left progressive kind of background. And recently I've seen her embroiled in some online controversy with other figures in left media, and I didn't want
ostensible left media, I think, for a better term for the. I mean, not so much Katie, who I think is genuinely a good progressive.
No, Katie is good people, but they have but there are. But certainly there are people who are journalists who are involved in this controversy who, there's some red flags there, not the good socialist kind of red flags. There's some stuff that seems a little sketchy to me. That said, I haven't, waded too deep into all of this. But one thing that really started to bother me the more that I saw of this controversy and this back and forth between Anna and journalists at the Gray Zone is this persistent thing that every single time one of these people wants to go after Anna, they always bring up this interview that she did years ago with Madeleine Albright. Oftentimes, even though some of these people are journalists, so they should be better at research than this, they'll say, "Oh, she was flown to this like NATO conference," with suggesting that she took money from NATO. It was not a NATO conference. While she was there, she also interviewed people like Joseph Stiglitz, and it was a much more general conference, and her airfare and all that was paid by YouTube, which had a bunch of prominent content creators, various political backgrounds go to cover it. And while doing it, she didn't have planned interviews, but she managed to kind of snag people and get them to, "Can I ask you questions?" For 10 minutes. She said when the time, not the last time she was on the channel, which was for the discussion about The Shining back in April, but the last time she was on the main show, she said that part of her advantage when she gets, when she does things like this is that oftentimes various prominent figures at these conferences see this, young woman. They don't necessarily take it that seriously. It's not like these people watch the Young Turks. They don't know who she is. And so she can get in there and do some interesting interviews.
If they did watch the Young Turks, they probably, I don't think Madeleine Albright would be.
Yeah, I don't think Madeleine Albright would agree to the interview if she watched the Young Turks. And the way that it's persistently brought up, either if people play a clip, they'll play the clip at the very beginning when Anna says something like, "Oh, I'm honored that you're doing this," or whatever, the kind of thing that you say, to somebody to put them at ease at the beginning of an interview. Or they certainly don't play anything from later in the interview. And this bothered me because I've seen this come up so much. This is part of the playbook now, that whenever Aaron Mate, whenever anybody, Jimmy Dore, whenever anybody wants to go after Anna Kasparian, it's like the first move. They say, "Aha, here is my evidence against her. She's an imperialist shill, even though she's against all the wars. She's against U.S. sanctions on Syria. She never wanted the United States to be militarily involved there, but still she's an imperialist shill. And the evidence that she's an imperialist shill is that she interviewed Madeleine Albright." And the way that they present it always makes it sound like this was some kind of love fest. That she was only pitching her softballs, and all of that. And this started to bug me. I said, this isn't that long. Go back and watch this interview. I really can't imagine Anna, doing that. But hey, whatever. I'll give it a watch. And guys, this is ridiculous. Let's pull up the first clip to give you a sense of what actually happened in this interview.
Currently, we are assisting the Saudis in the war in Yemen, and there is famine. There is a complete blockade in terms of humanitarian aid, and it's interesting to see the U.S.'s involvement in that, while the government simultaneously argues that it will fight other wars in the name of human rights, in the name of democracy. Why is it that we continue to be such close allies with Saudi Arabia, considering some of the heinous crimes they've committed abroad?
Well, our long-term relationship has been with Saudi Arabia, starting by Franklin Roosevelt, and there really is a reason. Saudi Arabia is an important country, and we do, in fact, have, as I said, have been carrying on a relationship with them for a long time. What is troubling, and I think it's something that we have to stop, is that the Saudis are using weapons that they bought from us to inflict harm in Yemen, so that they are involved in some of the airstrikes. And the Yemeni situation is just horrendous in terms of the humanitarian problems. And the hard part is, how do you separate the fact, the murder of Khashoggi, and whatever responsibility comes from the Crown Prince, from our need really to have a relationship with Saudi Arabia for geostrategic reasons, but then them misusing what we sell them for terrible things. So I think it is a very hard situation to explain.
So you say that Saudi Arabia is an incredibly important ally. Can you explain that in a little more detail? Because I think a lot of Americans don't really buy that, and I can understand why. So maybe this is a good opportunity to explain why they're such an important ally.
Well, I actually would not call them an ally, because we don't have an alliance with them. We have a working relationship with them in terms of some security issues in the Middle East. And the Middle East,
it's a very clear distinction.
And
a working security relationship, not an ally.
Friends that have a certain way of dealing. Iran is a problem. There's no question in terms of in that competition between Iran and Saudi Arabia. But I think that we also have to make clear, when we deal with the Saudis, that they cannot use our weapons for killing the Yemenis, or use or be involved in murdering somebody.
And they are using those weapons to do just that. And we continue to sell our weapons, not only to Saudi Arabia, but to other countries.
Yeah, goes on like that. So she's pressing she's pressing Madeleine.
You call them bad Saudis. You do not do that.
Yes, exactly. She's pressing Madeleine Albright, asking her embarrassing questions about the U.S. alliance with the theocratic, quasi-fascist kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In the next in the next clip, she brings up she brings up the flip-flop that Madeleine Albright and the rest of the liberal establishment did on the whole question of Russia between 2012 and now. Let's watch that. One's very quick.
I want to pivot onto the issue of Russia, because that is, of course, a big topic of discussion at this conference for obvious reasons. But, in doing research for this interview, I came across a statement that you made back in 2012 in response to Mitt Romney. Now, at the time, Mitt Romney was running for president, and he referred to Russia as America's #1 geopolitical foe. And your response was that he had little understanding of what was actually going on in the 21st century.
And then a couple minutes after that, she brings up domestic U.S. politics.
For you, this is, of course, an international conference, but I do want to just ask you one question about American politics. So in America right now, we're seeing this rise of young female politicians, which is really inspiring. And I think that was long overdue. And my mind does wander back to 2016, when you made a statement about women who did not want to support Hillary Clinton as president. You have apologized for that statement.
I didn't say that.
So if you're capable of watching all of this and thinking that this is this is some kind of like love fest or friendly interview. I mean, yeah, she gives Albright a chance to answer the questions. She doesn't like interrupt her and start screaming at her. She doesn't spit at her or spill pig's blood on her. Not that I would have objected if she had done any of those things. Albright would have all of that and much more coming to her. And I would probably buy Anna a beer every time I saw her for the rest of my life if she had done that. But like it's a very short interview. And that very short interview includes pressing Albright on U.S. complicity in Saudi war crimes. It includes bringing up, and she starts laughing when she's saying it. She can't contain herself. Albright's amazing, flip-flop on Russia and Putin. She brings up.
You can tell also that Madeleine Albright is not used to getting any kind of pushback on any interview because her face throughout it is shocked as if somebody has spilled pig's blood on her. Like.
Yeah, no, exactly. She doesn't get this. This is not the way that establishment journalists treat Madeleine Albright. And yeah, she brings up, the women who don't support other women, comment about, female Bernie supporters, from 2016, which pisses Albright off at the end. And the point of all of this is not that necessarily that Anna is right in every detail of every beef that she has with anybody who brings this up. I mean, I do think that that she has a point in these this back and forth that I've been looking at. I mean, I think that I think that some of the stuff that she's raised about some of these people seems legitimate. But the point is that if in response to that, you keep saying, oh, but she interviewed Madeleine Albright, which is always, it's not the only, but it's always the first response of all of these guys. You're being a fucking idiot. Don't do that. Don't be an idiot. If you want to have like comradely disagreements on left media, great, go for it. We believe in that here. Give them an argument. But like this sort of ridiculous smear tactic, like, oh my God, she's an imperialist shill. She interviewed Madeleine Albright once. Guys, you got to cut that out. It's bullshit. It's tedious bullshit. And that is what I have to say about that. Don't be an idiot.